All right, so just for the heck of it, and these teams don't match, but they kind of do because it's nights and it doesn't matter because I'm talking about the Blue Jays. I get Blue Jays on my TV a lot because I live in Canada, so we get to hear about the Blue Jays a lot, who are at 35 and 60 right now. And there's a lot of talk about whether or not they should get rid of Stroman. Here's the thing. So just looking at Stroman, he's 28 years of age. This year, his ERA is at 3.25, which is much better than last year when he had a 5.54. There were injury problems in there as well. He was 4-9 last year. He's 5-10 this year. His career high for wins is 13. Is Stroman an ace? Not really. But that being said, here's the issue to me. So Toronto's in the midst of a rebuild, right? Everybody's like, all right, well, if Stroman wants a lot of money, just get rid of him. Just get him out of there. Get rid of him. The thing that drives me nuts, and this is even in baseball, is when you do the rebuild and you do it wrong and you end up staying at the bottom. And I think if you move on from Stroman, I think you're making a mistake if you're the Jays. I understand that Stroman's outspoken on social media and he ticks some people off. But to me, he is their best pitcher at a time when they really don't have a lot of good pitchers. Shoemaker, 5 starts, 1.57 ERA. Great. Fine. That's fine. But it's 5 starts. So you can't look at that and go, and he's the ace. So, looking at starters, just guys who started, and I would like to apologize to Biagini. Anytime I watch a game that Biagini pitches in, he is awful, and his overall stats are pretty good. So it's the Jim Acker rule from the early 90s all over again. If he's in a game and I'm watching, it's going to be a bad night for him. So when I see Biagini coming in, I need to start just changing the channel. Although he is 3-1. So, his overall numbers aren't bad. A 3.89 ERA for a reliever. While back in the 80s, we would have been talking about how poor that was. It's not bad by today's standards. And then it just gets ugly. You've got Richard, who has a 5.96 ERA. You got Thornton, who's at a 5.25. That's over 20 starts for Thornton, 10 for Richard. Sanchez has just been absolutely brutal. And I was a big Aaron Sanchez fan at one point because his pitch location, and that's all I don't pay attention to the hitting and the home runs and all that. I'm all about pitch location. Does he have... And I watch where the catcher lines up and where he actually catches the ball. And that, to me, tells me whether a guy's got it or not. Or it also tells you that the catcher's going, all right, I want a curveball on the inside. And the pitcher's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go up and in. I don't care. And there is some of that, and it's kind of fun sometimes when you know that the catcher and the pitcher aren't on the same page. That can be entertaining, and of course, if it's a knuckleballer, it could go anywhere. But we're not looking at knuckleballers right now. Sanchez at 3-13, a 6.22 ERA. He has no value. You can't trade him. But to me, Stroman, despite the win-loss record being poor, his stats are still good. He's 28 years of age. Guys can pitch into their mid and late 30s. So are the Jays looking right now and saying this is going to be a 6 or 7 year rebuild beyond what it's already been? Clay Buchholz, 5 starts, 6.57. And I'm just looking over just guys who've had starts and just their overall numbers. And Jackson, who 5 starts in his appearances, he got sent down today in 8 games played, and his ERA at 11.12. It was over 12, I thought, before his last appearance. I saw him going into a game, and his ERA was at 12.3 or something. I went, holy crap. And yeah, and it was over 25 innings. He's now at 28. So he got better. He's down to 11.12. And I saw that and I was like, wow. So when you're looking at a reliever, you can look at a really high ERA, and then the next thing you look at is their innings, and you go, okay, so there might have been a really bad inning in there, but if it's at 28 innings, it's not a bad inning anymore. So Jackson, the good thing for Jackson, he looks like a good pitcher. He has the mechanics are there, kind of, and his strikeout number, 19 strikeouts in 28 innings, isn't bad. Kingham has 43 strikeouts in 50 innings. And then the question gets asked, and I didn't even look at this. Their closer is Giles, and his save percent, or his save percent, here's the hockey. His ERA is 1.45, so that's good. The problem is when your team's won 30 some games for the first 90 some games, he's not going to get a lot of work. So his appearances, he's at 31 appearances. So 31 appearances in 95 games. The good news is your closer, really well rested right now. The bad news, he's really well rested, meaning your team's in the crapper. But again, everybody expected this year. To me, it's felt uglier. And I'm going to go over to hitting because it's not all doom and gloom, and I don't want it to sound like doom and gloom. So you got Sogard, who's having a pretty darn good season. Gurriel, who I really like. Freddie Galvis, I like him as well. And Vladdy Guerrero, despite all the pressure, he'll get there. He's a kid, right? Cavan Biggio, I'm a fan of. Rowdy Tellez. How can you not like a guy named Rowdy Tellez? The home runs are there. They are. This is a team that can hit home runs. Hitting for average, it's kind of up in the air. Justin Smoke, of course, at a 211 average. He's making the most money on their team, I believe. Again, this is just a surface look at the Jays and where they're at. Again, on the hitting side, I see the pieces. On the pitching side, I don't see that you can move Stroman. I see that you can do whatever you need to do with Sanchez at the end of the year. Because again, his trade value is negligible right now. I can't see a team that's going into a playoff spot looking at Aaron Sanchez and going, yeah, we can work with him and get him into the rotation. His ERA is way too high, and his quality starts number is really low. I don't even have to look at it. It has to be really low. Because I've watched some of his games this year. As somebody who just watches pitching, I kind of look at the start of the game and I go, who's pitching? Okay, I'll watch some of this and we'll see how it goes. And with Sanchez, it's just been a disaster. So I think the hitting is there, and I think starting next season, if they add one or two, I'll say hit for average, speedy guys to what they have, this team can crack 500. I would think as soon as next year. That pitching rotation, that staff, and again, I'm not getting into their prospect pool. I know they've got some decent prospects in there, and I know they're working on that part of things, but if you trade Stroman, do you lose 100 games? Because Stroman's only won 5 out of 15 decisions, but I would argue he's dragged them to at least 3 of those 5 wins. And your option is to trade him, and if you're trading him as a team that's rebuilding, I mean, in baseball, you're not going to get back a Stroman level guy. You might get a prospect who's in Double-A right now. He's not going to be ready this, like, are we, like, is it going to get uglier? Because for fans who are going to games in Toronto, and I applaud people in baseball stadiums around the States and in Toronto who have the patience to pay for a ticket and sit down to watch a team that you know is bad, that you know is probably going to lose, and there's only 478,000 games left in the regular season for you to sit through and find out just how bad they are. I applaud people who show up. There's a lot made of how empty baseball stadiums are in some cases, but you know what? The people that do show up, I applaud them because, you know, in the Blue Jays case, you're going to get like last night, and that was in Boston, where you get 5-run innings. Holy crap. Like, it was just, by the 4th inning of that game last night, I was thinking, did the Jays have pitching? Like, they already have, you know, a guy who should be pitching in the 7th inning, warming up to come in the 3rd. So, is Dave Stieb somewhere in the crowd? Can he come down and maybe warm up? Like, you know, and I'm only partly kidding. What you're doing with that as well, when you're not getting the quality start. So, going back to the Stroman thing. So, you trade out Stroman. All right, we're going to trade Stroman. We're going to get top-notch prospects back, and it's going to be great. Okay. Now, you've lost your quality starter, the guy who can go into the 7th, 8th, maybe 9th inning, right? Now you're taking that bullpen, which is already spotty, and you're putting extra pressure on that bullpen to come in earlier, more often. Because that 1 in 5 games where you've got Stroman pitching, now who do you have pitching, right? So now you're going to have more games, almost every game where these guys are called into action in the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. They're not going to get those nights off. So now you're putting more pressure on those arms in the bullpen. I really think if you're looking at the long-term game, you're better off keeping Stroman. If he's happy and if he's willing to stay in Toronto, and despite what Sid Seixeiro said about a month ago where he was talking about Stroman needs to go and all this drama needs to go, got to get rid of Stroman, and Stroman saw that. So if Stroman's watching this, I'm not doing this just because I like Stroman, and I do. He's my favorite pitcher I've seen for the Jays in a long time. I like his location. I like his calm under pressure. And the fact that when the team can't hit for squat and they're not giving him any run support, he doesn't seem to get overly dramatic about it. Now, if he's willing to stick around, keep him. If he wants out, if he's, you know, of the mind that he wants to go somewhere, and it's fine. At the age 28, he may very well be of the mind of, hey, I want to win somewhere. I want a chance to go to, you know, the Yankees, a chance to go to, right now, Tampa's one of the top wild cards, which is strange. Because, of course, Tampa might be split in the season with the Montreal Expos. That's a whole other video. I will do a video on that when that's confirmed. If that's confirmed, when that's so weird. Tampa, support your team. Don't do this. Don't do this. Because if baseball pulls out of Tampa, it's probably not coming back. But in general, if Stroman's willing to stick around, keep him, because he's still young. He's still, you know, again, is he the number one ace? Probably not. So if you're going to get to the point of being a playoff team, but is he a good number 2? Absolutely. He is an excellent number 2 with the potential for being an ace on a pretty good team. I've watched some good pitchers come and go out of Toronto. David Price being a good, more recent example. But it always seems like the Jays either have hitting or pitching. And right now it looks like the hitting, the potential is there. And now there's a lot of talk about getting rid of the one big-name pitcher. And I don't see the point. So let me know in the comment section below if you as a Jays fan or just as a baseball fan in general feel that Stroman should go, Stroman should stay, and why. So, and here's the point I'm trying to make of this too. What is the long-term game plan with the Jays? Because I'm seeing one with the hitting. I'm not really seeing one with the pitching. And again, you know, some of these young arms, could they come around? Absolutely. Do they have Stroman level upside? That's yet to be decided. And until they show that, I would be kind of nervous about trading away a pretty top-notch pitcher in Stroman. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Does the drama with Stroman mean he needs to go? Do the Jays care if they lose 100 games? And do you, if you go to Jays games, if you're sitting there every night in that crowd, do you care if they lose 100? Or are you just like, I get to see Vladdy, I get to see Biggio's kid, I get to see all these kids coming in and playing. It's pretty fun. Gurriel knocks it out of the park. These guys can all knock it out of the park. It's a fun game to watch, and I don't really care if they win or lose. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And again, this is just a dabbling in baseball kind of thing. Yvonne went out to run errands. This is sort of my way of going, ha! Ha ha! I talked about baseball while you were out. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. And I would be glad to sit down and go over some things when we get closer to the playoffs. But remember, once October rolls around, which is when things get really interesting in baseball, that's when hockey's ramping up too. So my energy obviously would be towards the hockey side of things, but I have no problem with the occasional conversation about baseball. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon.